Hello. Welcome to our On the Road edition, second episode of my full first and last name and social security number. With me, Dr. Proof, and
I'm also here.
You need to speak up because I'm not sure it's going to catch any audio.
I am also here.
Okay, that's the best we're going to get out of him. And I wanted to get your take on things that have been retreaded in Twitter's spaces so we can get down to what my actual concern is. I just don't want to talk about what my actual concern is because it's okay if we never get there. But there are two arguments about whether society has been, let's just say, like, since the beginning of time, right? And you might have a separate argument. Since the beginning of time up until recently, society has been patriarchal. That's one argument. The second argument is, since the beginning of time and still is, society has been gynocentric or matriarchal. No, I think gynocentric, because it might not be patriarchal, but it might not be matriarchal, but it's definitely gynocentric. So that's probably the better way to phrase that argument. Which one do you think is more true?
I think that both can be true.
Come on, man.
No, I do. I guess it sort of depends what sort of tier of life you're living. Because when you go to the very, very top, everybody that's in charge, everybody that has the wealth, influence, and power is men. There's like a couple women in there, but they don't really matter. And most of them got there because of a man. But when you go back down to the ground, or on the road, as it were, with regular people, working class Americans, if you will, it is gynocentric, and I think it always has been, because men might have power, certainly more in a physical way, sometimes in a social way, but almost everything that we do in one way or another is in pursuit of pussy. I mean, we build, we invent, we create, we toil for pussy.
I could see that. So what are the guys at the top toiling for?
I don't know. I honestly can't even put myself in that headspace. I mean, Elon Musk, it seems, doesn't even fuck. He just has his kids via IVF.
Well, yeah, because the pursuit of pussy is for progenation.
Yeah.
Right? Is it not?
It is, yes.
And the thing is, he's bypassing the part that most guys need, like, because the act of sex is pleasurable to. Would you argue or agree that the act of sex is pleasurable to incentivize or activate man's nature to want to pursue it?
Yeah, I think that seems sort of self-evident.
And then at the highest levels, when a guy can get whatever he wants and he's basically tired of the pleasures of sex, his goals are still the same as the guy's goals, except they're less covert and more overt. So he wants legacy, he wants progeny, he wants all that. And maybe he just doesn't find sex pleasurable anymore, but he's still fulfilling the biological imperative.
Either that or he's trying to start an NFL team.
Still legacy, though.
True.
And the thing is that when I'm assigning value, not knowing what their life is like. I'm with you on that, and trying not to like know what their intentions are. But is it always the case that when you do things to improve life, they will further the species in some way? Because like improve life could be it's very subjective, right? Sometimes, we can look at social media, even though it's like a complete dopamine farm, people's, quality of life might actually be going down in a lot of other cases. However, the act of making communication global, fast, and, seamless is an improvement in and of itself. And that improvements in kind are to further the species.
Yeah, I think that at least the ideas, the creations are all made with that purpose in mind. Whether the implementation leads to that or something is a different conversation.
Or even the inverse is true, where someone is trying to improve their own life, but their invention helps everyone else, right?
Sure.
And that pussy's always somewhere kind of baked into it, because when you create comfort in life, and regardless of whether you yourself have kids, and that is genetically passed on, or like mimetically passed on, as sometimes argued, that it will inevitably lead to more life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that.
So in that sense, would we say that society has always been gynocentric? Because there's two parts to it, right? Caring about progeny isn't entirely gynocentric, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that makes it gynocentric is knowing that you need women to like make progeny. And it's like someone else could argue, okay, well, then we live in a society that's androcentric or whatever, that it actually needs men, because men are the ones that do everything, and we do also need them to be able to create life, right? Someone could argue that. But the second tier of the argument is that women, because they aren't by nature the doers, but rather the receivers, we've seen that much to be true throughout all of history, and we don't know whether all of that is related to social barrier or capability or whatever. We don't know, because maybe they could have been more capable. It's just that we picked a path we went down and just kept going, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could have entirely been a society where we have Elon Musk or something, right? But we don't. In this way, we don't know if female nature is malleable toward becoming more doing than male nature is. But as it stands right now, it isn't. And that anything in life that furthers progeny and furthers society makes women a benefactor of that. Is that true or isn't it true?
That seems to be the case, yeah.
So it would, from the beginning of time and even now, society has been mostly gynocentric. And and this is one thing that I was talking with the Common Sensible about, and he knows that without men there would be no doing, right? And if women just ran around rampant and whatever, there'd be a ton of destruction. And I don't care what anyone has to say, whether that's sexist or not. I totally agree with him. But I was trying to explain that there's always this unfair exchange where the men are doing, they're dying, they're inventing things, and women are receiving all of that. And he was saying, like, yeah, that's just baked into the pie. Men are just that way. They just do all the things, right? And I kept trying to resist it, because I think what it does is absolve women the responsibility of being grateful for stuff, and it makes them like these. They are, from his point of view and my co-signing of his point of view, women categorically are kind of in the same realm as children as far as accomplishments are concerned, and like the furthering of life. It's not to say that they don't streamline things and make things happen, right? But there's a lot of things men can do slightly less efficiently, and they don't even need women, where the inverse right now is not true, right? And he's saying that it's always been that way, therefore it doesn't make sense to see society as always having been gynocentric. But if one person has always been the benefactor of another person's efforts, what do we normally call that?
Welfare?
In kind. Parasitism. Being a parasite. Where, like, it's not an equivalent exchange.
No, it's not an equivalent exchange, but I think parasite might be a little bit far.
Well, here's a question for you. Do men always know that they're doing things for pussy?
No.
In fact, they have what would be considered a biological compulsion to do things for pussy, whether they recognize it or not.
Sure.
And when you accept or when a parasite chooses a host and latches on, does the host's intentions matter on whether the parasitism is happening, or is it about the exchange? Meaning, if the host says, I like this, even though they're getting no value out of it, does that change it to a symbiotic relationship because he's intentionally receiving them and is okay with it? Or is it that at the very base level, him having a parasite attached to him, regardless of whether he's okay with it or not, is still parasitism?
I mean, the compulsion might be there, but we're not entirely without agency. I'd say it's closer to symbiosis than it would be to parasitism.
Well, let's look at how things are now, without the guardrails. Luffy's argued that we're in open hypergamy season, meaning technology has made it so women can do selection very efficiently. I mean, the method of doing it is very efficient, not their process, right? I'm just saying, like, they could choose from a number of men, and a lot of them are outside of the range, either, not worthy enough, quote unquote, or better than what they deserve, quote unquote. These are all subjective values, but they could, a mid female like myself can punch upwards and get a 6'9" male like yourself, right? Meaning the selection is no longer controlled by men and fathers and whatever. Does the reality of that stop men from simping?
Well, first off, please stop talking shit about my wife. Second, no, I don't think so.
It doesn't, right? The compulsion is always there because we're very much driven. But let's take it a step further. So now we're out of the dating apps and we're just onto social media, where a woman is like a trad wife account, a beautiful, lovely trad wife account, just baking cookies. Nala Ray is baking cookies, and she's beating off her rolling pin and like doing a hegao face and stuff like that. And men are liking and retweeting, and they're saying, "Yes, queen," Christ is king. They're saying all that stuff, right? And there's it's so casual that most of these men know they're not going to fuck her, right? They're just there supporting the effort, celebrating her success as a converted woman, whatever, right? But would you say that even their agency of choosing to do it, knowing that she's not going to fuck him, still has an underpinning of biological compulsion, or is it divorced from it?
I think that it's there.
It is, right? And if it were a dude, they probably wouldn't do that.
I would say that's probably true. Yes.
Yeah. Meaning that even though she's the one creating this content, right? It's like, it's her. She's actually the creator of the content. Someone can argue that the parasocial relationship is in the other direction because they're not creating content. She's creating content. But what's really happening is the content that she's creating, though self-derived, is it's hard. It's going to be really hard to make this argument, but a host, or let's just say, let's do it this way. I am an Amazon truck with the back part open, and I'm delivering a lot of laptops, meaning I am chock full of content that can be, taken by other people and whatever, right? In that sense, someone might argue a parasocial relationship is like that. They're coming, they're taking all the laptops, all these people are liking, retweeting, and they do so little to be able to get success off of her, including, guys who are like anti-OnlyFans, and they're just like, whore, they just like, they start whore, like, on her videos, every video, and they get a ton of likes and retweets and stuff like that. But in essence, they're still orbiting her doing the minimal content, and that even in the off times when she's not doing the content, they're looking through the old stuff, they're liking, retweeting endlessly, and will continue to pay attention to her even when she's only producing one thing a week, one thing a month, whatever it is, and their attention is glued there. Is her being the content creator still a parasocial relationship of them to her, or has it always been that she's capitalized off of her nature and used it to make all the men hosts for her to be able to feed off of them? It's a hard one, huh?
I don't know.
It's hard to think about because, in one sense, if it were a dude, he'd have to stay funny. He'd have to be consistent with the schedule. He'd have to produce bangers. He'd have to have a niche. But, and this isn't to say that men don't produce low-effort content, right? Like, we have Nikocado Avocado just gorging himself to death.
I mean, that turned out to be pretty high effort, and he lost all that weight.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that at the time when he was doing it, he's just gorging himself. It's not really... Actually, you're right, because the thing is, he's...
I think is a bad example.
Yeah, because he's risking his body. His body is actually the... Well, no, because women could do that, too. It's just like... I'm just saying that the level of effort with eating is not the same as, like...
No, I think that's a bad example. Going through all the effort of not only ballooning yourself up like that, and then keeping it a secret that you lost all of the weight and went back down to, like, twink size over the course of, like, a year. Bad example of that.
Yeah. Well, there's the one I was just talking about with off the episode, but Asman was watching Bevo, is a TikTok streamer who he gained followers just from having weird teeth, and then he gained more followers from just eating food normally on camera. And then, but he did gain the most followers when a fan pushed him over and broke two of his teeth, which made eating like a literal life or death situation, because he'd have to like take 2 bites and then swallow, and people was really scared that he was gonna choke, and he was getting like 1 million views per video.
What the fuck are you people doing on there? Jesus Christ, touch grass.
But before that, he was just gaining followers off having weird teeth, okay? It wasn't like he was doing anything. He wasn't really doing much. So in that case, he was Nala Ray. Like, his tits were his teeth, okay? But that's like, that shtick will get old pretty quick. Whereas for the most part, wait, no. Okay, now I'm literally That's not true. Because if it were the case that he didn't have to do very much, and that the only thing required is for him to switch it up, like, as a male, I was, like, thinking about, you know, all the OF girls, like, anyone who isn't in the top 10%, they're, like, basically making $5 or $10 a month. Because, like, my whole argument was that being a woman content creator is going to always be a parasitic relationship in the other direction. Like, she's getting guys' attention by being a woman, but we know on OF that's not true. There's still a market, right? And there's tons of girls who make $5 to $10 a month.
Yeah,
most of them are
spending like 5 hours a day at least making all their weird squirting videos. I mean, the laundry cost alone, you're not making that money back.
Right. Because you still have to pay. I mean, you still have to pay for all your dragon dildos. You have to pay for the internet. you have to pay for rent. Sorry. Can you imagine just being one of those fucking gordita goblinas and you're like, you paid fucking $100 for a dragon dildo, it would take you all year to pay.
Yeah, and then you just have one person that's really into you, and they're like, look, I will pay you $2,000, I just need you to get flexible enough to lick chocolate sauce off of your feet and film it for me.
Oh, sorry. Imagine not being able to pay back money for a fucking large dildo. You're basically fucking yourself in the ass, literally. I'm sorry. It's not funny, but
It's kind of funny.
One second. Okay, I shouldn't laugh. We're doing this for free right now, okay? But we're just recording our regular conversations anyway. Anyway, the whole point is, I just literally I just boofed my own argument. I was trying to take myself down a fucking Socratic line of questioning, and I knew where I wanted to go, but it wouldn't have been honest. I could have gone there and we would have both agreed, but it would have been too slick. It's just like, yeah, of course, always. There's always gonna be at least one dude that likes the gordita goblina with the dragon dildo that she can't afford. And most guys get zero things. They're just gonna scream into the void. However, even saying that, like, it's fine. Like, I guess, well, maybe I'm just going to continue anyway, because it is still a recognizable phenomenon that Gordita Goblina will at least have one $5 sub. I don't think she'll get zero. I don't think so. Maybe it's like very rare or something, and she just, I don't know. But I just can't see that being the case, whereas there's probably plenty of, male OF people that are doing that for free in hopes that one day they will get someone, but will they? Likelihood is still zero. To circle back to Nala, the men have agency to like, retweet, and engage, and they're not the ones creating content, she is. However, there's not really an equivalent exchange, because what she gets from them orbiting and her capitalizing off of her own female nature will always be greater than what they get from it. Like, a guy can argue, hey, seeing her videos every day has stopped me from killing myself. It's like, good for you, dude. But that's all self-derived, right? maybe that's an exchange in kind, but I don't believe it's like a rationalization of exchange. versus like something palpable. Like, why would he need to continue engaging and liking and retweeting or doing any of that, right? He could just have a picture of her face and be like, I rationalize that this is an equivalent exchange. And it's just a slippery slope.
Slippery slope to what?
Of him thinking that his rationalization is the exchange. I don't believe that. Even if it's motivating him to not kill himself, I don't believe it. Because I could say that about anything, and if I could make it true, it'll be true. I mean, maybe that is. Is it?
Might be.
I don't know. I guess that's a question to ask the backrooms, huh?
Send it.
Yeah. This goes back to this idea in the red pill. I guess I am circling back to the main concern, because now I have more doubts about something that I was a little bit more sure about before I started. But there's a lot within the red pill that is about men having a healthy sexual identity and also maintaining their own agency, that is directly correlated to their competency and their mindset and all that other stuff, right? And one of them that you and I were talking about earlier was about frame. You know, you could either be in a man's frame, or as a man, you could be either in your own frame or you could be in hers in a relationship. Hers would be where she has like the cards that can manipulate you, and you know, like she could tell you what to do, all of that, as opposed to her being on yours, where it's because of desire or because of fear of you leaving, she'll do whatever you want, right? But all of that still requires a she for a positive sexual identity and male agency. When men develop a skill set and become competent or proficient in it, initially for the sake of becoming more confident around women. So it's not like a direct thing, right? He's not like using the skill to, you know, build her a house or whatever. It's just for him to be more confident. So it's like a second order of her receiving the benefits of his competency.
Okay.
Is doing that still a matter of considering her preference, or do you think that's like only self-derived and for his own benefit if he's not doing anything directly for her?
I mean, you would need to dive into subconscious things that I don't know you could prove positive or negative.
Right. But it's like the catalyst for learning that skill was to build confidence. The social aspect alone of confidence can mean that
it can tie into it, but I don't think that you can like direct one-to-one correlate those things. Right,
because in essence, even if the guy was aware that he had low confidence around women, it can be said that confidence in and of itself in a social setting is good for both sexes, just to seem competent, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And it's not directly in consideration of women. It can be to start, but once you get there and you see the benefits of it, it might not even be even a secondhand or subconscious consideration. Like, even for me, there's some things, like one of the examples I like to use is you introducing me to Dark Souls, and now I literally of course I did it to impress you. I wanted you to be impressed by my platinums and stuff, but now I just do it because I like doing it. And when I show my platinums, it's to mog everyone. I don't care if they're men or women, I just want to mog them.
As you should.
Yeah, but like, to start, it was definitely in consideration of pleasing you, but now I just kind of do it. That's usually the argument for why, developing a mindset that's good with game and frame and all that is like still male centric. However, I don't, if the catalyst is always to get better at acquiring pussy, regardless of whether the thing dissipates or not, the primary concern was for female preference. In that way, it's a gynocentric set of practices, isn't it?
It would be, yeah.
I'm trying to think about like how women, when they see a man exudes confidence, they don't care where it came from. I mean, he might have an origin story later on that infuses their attraction with, or enhances their attraction, right? Like, oh wow, who knew that he, was so bad at X, and now he's so great at it because he's so disciplined and blah blah blah, right? But for the most part, the first thing that they're looking at is whether he's confident or not, and then it's not the first thing. They're actually looking at his height and looks, right? And the next thing is confidence, and maybe I think it's height, face, status, wealth, personality. I think that's how it goes. But it just so happens that all the other ones, if you already have them, it just also means that you have a semblance of a personality. Competency makes personality. Height. I know it's something to make fun of, but like in the black pill, when you say height equals personality, it's usually a dig at women because they're so shallow. But in another sense, if you grew up knowing that you were always observed, for your height and whatever, your personality is different from someone who's not regarded, I think.
Potentially. I might be a bad person to ask that question because it's something that I don't consider.
Yeah, because you are that thing. It is your personality.
I am that guy.
Yeah, it is your personality. It's kind of funny to think about that a lot of these arguments that I've always argued about in favor of men, I'm just like, now that I'm just talking to you and there's like so low stakes with saying it, I'm just like, wait a second. I mean, I always knew that they were there because when I settle on a position, it's not because, like I want to support men. I'm not like that. It's just like, what can I competently argue down to like the very essence of whatever it is, and it just usually goes in favor of men. But I have made these arguments before, but now they just sound so weird. Like, I was thinking about like alpha and beta, right? There's that concept. Alpha and beta is not like a static thing. It's
sure.
It's like a Chad can become a beta in his marriage, like what's his name? I was gonna say John Wayne. What's his name? the football player Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah.
You necessarily become beta even as a Chad once you negotiate things, which is what marriage is. It's a negotiation of. It should be, and it is, but people don't really think about it, but it is. It's like a negotiation of exchange, and that starts to create more power imbalance between men and women. It's always in favor of trying to find like harmony or harmony and people knowing their roles and stuff, but what it really does is like shake people up because they're like, oh fuck,
Here's my opinion on the alpha beta thing. I I don't really consider it to apply to me. I don't use any of those terms unless I'm making fun of somebody. But I understand why the concept is there. I think it helps some people rationalize the world around them and understand their place in it, but they're stupid concepts.
Why?
Because the idea of being an alpha or a beta, I mean, if you're considering yourself either of those things, you're definitely not what anybody would call an alpha, because your ranking as one of these fucking stupid Greek designations is based entirely around society around you.
Right, it's post hoc.
Like,
it is
you are
post
not
hoc.
the one that chooses to be an alpha male. You know, fucking Andrew Tate. Actually, he probably does wake up in the morning and say, "I am an alpha male," but that's not why other people call him that.
Right. But aren't his actions, his conscious actions, a choosing to be an alpha?
He's choosing to conform or shape to what men believe is a dominant alpha way of life.
That's true. It's a subset of men. A large subset, but it's still a subset, isn't it?
If I had to define what an alpha male is, it wouldn't be somebody that spends all of their time in front of a camera talking to people. It would be somebody going about their day unconcerned and unbothered about anything that's happening on the internet. And they go, they do their job, they leave their job, and then they do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, I mean, that's if their job allows them to do that. Because, like, the one thing about Tate being on camera the whole time is that it's actually his business model.
Yeah.
And he created it.
It's
his cult of personality. He created that. And so him being concerned with what's happening on the internet is in service of his cult of personality, which again leads back to his job, that he's farming, he's using his own confidence to farm off other people, which is kind of alpha. I mean,
I don't know. Imagine you as a man being concerned with what other men have to think about you. Wouldn't be me. Sounds fucking gay.
Right, and like, let's just say he wanted to do something kind of froofy. For whatever reason.
What do you mean he wants to do something froofy? Have you seen the way he dresses?
Okay, wait.
On.
I'm just saying, if he wanted to do something like legitimately just kind of gay, he'd have to always think about what the mandem would think. It's like, is this gay? Like, is this okay?
Yeah, man can't go and fucking order a milkshake when he goes out. Somebody will take a picture of him. It'll be on Twitter.
Because, like, remember at the Christmas party, you're like, hey, we should wear these. And it was like a Hello Kitty, Hello Kitty sweaters, which, you know that I'd like, but also you don't give a fuck.
I like Hello Kitty. It's
you
cute.
it is. Which, like, even if it weren't like a couples thing, even if we weren't both wearing the Hello Kitty sweaters, you would have worn the goddamn thing. You would have been
still
fine.
Wear it.
Yeah, I know. You don't give a shit.
It's comfortable.
And you had a Hello Kitty beanie too.
Yeah, I just found that the other day.
But no one would be questioning your sexuality. I don't think even they would if you were shorter. I think they'd just be like, oh, there's Husband. They wouldn't call you that. Well, anyway, there's Husbando just being himself, just living his best Hello Kitty life, right?
Yeah, I'm not looking at what other people are doing, trying to inform the way that I go about my day. I have things that I need to do. I'm doing those things.
Which is like weird to think about because Hello Kitty does have a demographic, and you just don't care whether it does or doesn't.
It's cute.
In any case, yeah. No, that was actually my concern, because I do think that it is pretty gynocentric to be considering what women would prefer, even if the skill itself produces a lot of other benefits. If the primary concern was building confidence or a better mindset to be able to acquire pussy, that is gynocentric AF. But what choice do men have?
I mean, insofar as subconscious desire goes, there's no choice involved, but you can choose to do things that you want to do instead of things that will get you pussy directly. I mean,
like the StarCraft people or fucking the League of Legends guys. Most of they're just doing it.
Yes, and
they're still getting pussy from doing that.
This is like super
the esports
basic
people.
Life advice, but it keeps coming around for a reason, because it's good. If you find something that you like, you don't need to find something you love, but something that you don't hate doing, and you go and you do it, and you do it with other people, you're going to make friends. Some of those friends will be women. Sometimes that can end up in a relationship, and it's not something that you should be doing with the idea of there might be women here. It's something that, like, hey, I like this thing. I want to do this thing. I want to.
That's very man-centric.
And I want to go do a trivia night, or I want to go to a pickup sports game, a couple of times a month. If you just go out and you interact with people, you'll find fulfillment in just doing that. And you can make connections that way.
If you build it, they will come?
Yes. I'm not going to say never, because I've definitely made some decisions in my life to try and make myself more attractive to people. But on the whole, when I was going out because this is a place that I want to drink at. This is a place that I know has good happy hour deal. And I'll go, I'll have my drinks, I'll have my food. If I meet people, that's cool. If not, I have headphones. I can listen to an audiobook.
Right. And you do be doing that. Huh.
Just go out. Get off of Twitter.
I mean, it's not even about Twitter. It's about, like, doing real life things because it might result in pussy. I mean, and that's the thing, because, like, what if it is that man's concern, his primary concern? Is it that much of a blue pill thing if he's like, I want to fuck. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to fuck. Like, I'm going to, like, if his primary concern is women and it's in accord with his biological compulsion. So he's aware of the biological compulsion, but he's also like, I love women. I want to go fuck. Like, I'll just say whatever I need to say, kind of like Destiny, right?
Yeah.
I'll say whatever I need to say to these mentally ill women so I could get mentally ill pussy. And it's like the best pussy in the world. And it's like, everyone else is like, oh, what's that? Ooh, and he's just like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'll do all this really reprehensible stuff. I'll eat cum out of her pussy. Like, I just don't care. I just love women so much that I'll just do all this reprehensible shit.
Well, look, if that is your primary concern, then that takes away any of the self-conscious worry about it. Just dicks out. Go for it. If that is the thing that you like, the thing that you love, then yeah, do that. You're going to be a weirdo, but stop caring about it. Just do it.
And that's the thing, like, grug wisdom would be, I want, I get, right? Like, just like, do I want it or do I not want it, right?
Yes.
And then the extra layer is, I want, I get, but in order to get, I have to do other things that I don't want to do. which would be have frame and do all this other stuff. But it's still grug, where you're like, I don't give a fuck what it is. I have no sense of self beyond making sure that I get what I want. Is that still grug? Or is that now not grug?
I think that if you have a single-minded determination or devotion to one thing, you could call it whatever you want, but people that I've met in my life that have like a thing, and you probably met a couple too, if they've got like the thing that they know is their thing.
Busker Avenue and Moore Lane.
Oh shit, we're doxing. We're self-doxing.
They're some of the happiest people that I think I've met.
Yeah, they have a thing. It doesn't matter what the thing is. It could be chasing women. It
could be fucking Magic the Gathering or
brony stuff.
Yeah. Those people wake up and they know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, there's no second guessing. They're just like, I'm gonna do this.
You know, it's no, oh, what am I gonna have for breakfast? Do I gotta take the trash cans out? It's no
hesitation.
I am going to jerk off to furry porn.
Yeah, and I have a cum jar.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing too. Is like, there's like this like I don't know if I want to call it horseshoe. I guess I'll call it slingshot. After Interstellar, they're gonna slingshot around the sun.
Hell yeah, Murph.
Yeah, Murph. But like basically where the ooh, what's that? But the ooh is like, it starts to dissipate when you see their resolve. It's like kind of like a seppuku moment, where it's like they're so determined that the act of like that would normally constitute self-harm, because it is, right? Because it's harm for the intention of death. The resolve to do it and the reason for doing it is so single-minded that it becomes like, you know, heroic. It's fucking insane to me. But it happens all the time. Like, people are like, even to this day, and I might even be one of those people, which everyone I know will hate, but I am one of those people. I look at Destiny and Trump and I kind of see them as the same person, because they don't care what they have to do to get what they want. They're going to do reprehensible things, but the consistency of just going after the thing is, to me, why they'll always have swag.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that.
And people will hate that, but I don't know. It's like...
I think the perfect example of this that I can think of is Christine Chandler.
Who's that?
Chris Chan.
Oh, that's right.
So
yeah.
Look at
dude. He has so much
swag.
He's A-log to death, or he is.
Christine Chandler has been documented and bullied for over a decade, but I will be willing to bet all the money I have in my bank account that they are having a better time with their life, even after going to prison, than 99.99% of the people that spend their time fucking
A-logging him,
reading and following and documenting.
They're documenting them. Literally, they have been documented more than like some of the greatest men in history.
She might be one of the greatest men in history.
We won't know, right? We won't know.
I'm willing to bet that there is a non-zero chance that she ends up in an encyclopedia.
And hey, man,
that's more than I could say.
Dude, they got to fuck their own mom. It's like...
Yeah, and they don't care about it. They were having a great time. You know what they did when they were done with that? They probably went back to their room, put on their fucking Sonichu medallion, and started playing Switch. Is that a great way to live? Maybe not, but I bet they're having a great time.
I'm letting the moment pass because it was so apex, but I do want to also say that the A-loggers have a complete history of Chan whining about being lonely and sad and pathetic. And that was kind of like that the mental illness. Don't come for me, people. I'm not talking about the transgenderism. I'm just talking about it in general. The mental illness from being bullied and lonely their entire life is it caused mental break.
Yeah.
So meaning that the resolve isn't entirely conscious. But it isn't, but it also isn't to say that it hasn't horseshoed around to being like, that person was there. That person definitely existed. And like, even in their, cause like, I mean, most of the great men in history were miserable as fuck. They're just miserable, lonely, if not unloved, it's like just companionship was just not a thing that happened for them. They didn't trust anyone, you know. So there's a lot of these the same drive exists. It's just that their excellence produced a thing of quote unquote value for society. It's so even but it, you know what I mean. It's like it did create quote unquote comfort, to get back to the original argument they were making, and we were the benefactors of it. But yeah, because it's like, it's kind of like if I had to put someone's identity on like a stocks chart or something, it's like, and the thing is that their reprehensible actions still continues to make their regard go up, whether that regard is positive or negative. They will still receive that regard alone will allow them to receive more from society than someone who's like flatlined or something. It's amazing. Or where their reprehensible actions pull them out of society and they can't get back into it. That's also pretty big. That happens to everyone else. Considering that Chan's actions were fucking disgusting.
Sure.
It's amazing. It's fucking amazing. If in part the mental illness wasn't also fueled by the resolve to make these changes, because they were always making changes. They were always trying to do something. It just wasn't what we would consider self-improvement in kind, but in their world is like something else. But they were doing it. They were always changing to like adapt to whatever would work for them, and now they have like a hot girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. I don't know. And is that person more beta or alpha than, you know, a guy who's really fit, goes to the gym every day, you know, learns a lot of skills, including singing, dancing, playing the guitar, and then, you know, like they also have a following for being witty and charming, and all of that was developed through their own self-practice. Like, who's more beta in that sense?
I think that Christine Chandler, incest rapist fucking mogs.
Dude, and you know what's crazy? They're like, I'm the gynocentrism now. Yeah. Look at me. I am the gynocentrism.
They're not only gynocentrics. I believe they're God.
Maybe in slapping down the transgender movement, we effectively cut off a part of history where women could have become as important as men, if not better. We literally slapped down the possibility that for once in goddamn life, that men could be the benefactors of female effort. You know what I mean?
Hey, if you want something right, you gotta ask a man to do it.
I'm just saying, they're always better at everything, even being women, and like, we literally, in this like effort to stave off what we considered degeneracy, was actually us trying to evolve, and we stopped it. We stopped women from having agency and we stopped women from being accountable, and we stopped them from producing as much value as men do by stopping the transgender movement. We enforced gynocentrism. We made that okay.
Thanks, Obama.
So fuck, dude. Thanks, Trump. Anyway, let's end there because that was disturbing enough for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, Christine Chan, friggin' incest rapist. Incest rapist Gordita Goblina is gonna have more subs. It's gonna have more subs than the average Gordita Goblin. The Dragon Dildo she can't afford. Anyway, thanks guys for listening, and catch us either here, Backrooms, or maybe on a live version of Backrooms on Twitter.
And remember, comment down below your full first and last name and social security number.
Bye!